Hello and welcome back to the Honest Business Podcast. I hope you are very well. Today we are diving into a really important topic, and I think if you've clicked on this episode and you're going to listen to it, I really suggest you maybe get like a pen and paper out and just maybe have a journal or write down thoughts that come up as you listen to this, because I'm going to talk about it in two parts. So I'm going to talk about it specifically to me, because I suppose some people are interested in that, but I'm also going to talk about it specifically to you and how you can create your own. So what I'm talking about is, what does success look like for me in my business? And then how you can create your own set of success metrics and how do you build that around, what you're doing. And the reason we're bringing this up and I'm talking about this is because I have a lot of conversations and questions from people that come up around, how do I know what I want? How do I know what the bigger vision is? Now that's a separate episode in itself around like vision and understanding truly where the business is going. But in terms of you personally and understanding what you want, this episode will kind of, in half ways, I think, give you a kind of understanding around that and help you to think more about what does it mean to you. Because ultimately, before people come and start working with me, they kind of need to know what success is to them. Like, what are they trying to build? What's the goal? What are they trying to figure out? And I can figure it out for them once they have, if they give me a set of parameters of I want my business to look like X, or I want, this is what success looks like to me. It's a lot easier for me to kind of then do my job and help them really create and craft a business that really lights them up and feels amazing. And so today I'm going to talk about, especially if maybe you have an alternative approach to what success looks like, or the kind of generic way that society deems someone to be successful doesn't sit with you and doesn't kind of, I don't know, maybe you feel like you just don't fit in with the world, or maybe you want a different approach to what society is kind of driving as a main message. Maybe you're neurodivergent, maybe you have a chronic illness. Like, there can be so many reasons as to why you want to create your own success metrics. And it also might just be because you want to. Like, why not? You don't have to have a reason for it. And so that is what we're diving into today. And that is what I really hope that this conversation is going to kind of encourage you to think further than maybe you have previously. So let's just start off, as I said, with my kind of what does success look like for me in my business. And I'll just talk you through kind of a few items. And I haven't actually, like, it's not scripted. I've got a few points here, but not actually points around what success means to me. I thought, you know what, let's just riff on this and see what comes off, because that's probably more authentic and meaningful to you listening. So success in my business, I definitely say, is different from what society may deem to be, successful. I am successful. I love my life. And I think for me, that was the biggest success metric. For me, it was, do I love my life every day? Do I wake up every day excited to get to work? Do I want to work? Do I feel really passionate about what I'm doing? Do I get to the end of the day and feel like, oh, that was good and I've helped someone? For me, a success metric is impact. And so for me, it was like, do you get to the end of the month or the year or the quarter and feel like, yeah, do you know what, like, this has really helped X, Y, and Z person, or this has really moved something. That kind of, for me, there's a lot of it's feeling, it's thought, it's energy. Do I feel like my time's been well spent? You'll notice everything I've just said there, none of that is really money based. And obviously money's important. It makes the world go round. We need money. And I love money, but I don't have a lot of success metrics around money. I just personally don't associate with that. I don't feel connected to it. And I know some people do. So if you do, that's really great. Like, go for it. Don't let anybody make you feel like you shouldn't, because that's not fair. Like, you should go after it. But I'm just speaking honestly for myself. For me, that's not a success metric. And I think the main reason is because I see firsthand what happens and how the money and as a figure and as a number means pretty much nothing, in the sense of, people can come to me and they make £1 million, £7 million, 500,000, whatever they want to make a year, and they'd be miserable and they'd be unhappy and they feel unsuccessful. And like, there's so much that we could dive into there around this correlation between money and happiness and that not being the thing. Now, I also am an advocate for saying, like, I hate when people say, oh, money doesn't make you happy, because I argue that it makes your life a hell of a lot easier. And I have seen that, over my business journey of running two businesses, like, my life has transformed, and what I'm able to do and what the opportunities I can kind of say yes to, and what I've, every day that I have an option of, I do this or I do that, like, that has come from making money. It's come from being successful. Not and that's what I wouldn't have had if I'd set up a not-for-profit. And I think it's really important to make that clear of like, you can understand and acknowledge and feel really passionate about what the power of money can do for you, but also not feel 100% connected to it in the sense of that being a success metric. So obviously for me, it's like, you know, we make money, is it in profit? You know, do you take money out of the business? Like those sort of things are important, but I don't personally have it where like, I've got to make £1 million, I've got to make this, I've got to make 10 million, I want to be building that. Like none of that sits particularly with me. The other stuff does, the feeling, the excitement. Freedom is one of the biggest success metrics for me of, can I, well, one, when I look at my calendar, do I have space? Space in my day to think, space in my day to be, you know, do I have time off? Am I able to switch off from work? That is one of the biggest ones for me, I would say. So for me, the biggest success metric is, I don't know if it's the biggest, but it's one of the biggest, is can I take time off out of my business and not panic about the business? As in, not worry about cash flow, not worry about money coming in, not worry about clients, not worry about sales. Just, can I just take time off? And can I just like be at peace? And that has been the biggest thing for me, especially this year. And you know, I think what I want to make clear in this episode is success metrics will change for you as time goes on. Mine have become a lot clearer, and some have become very clear over the last year. And for me, that whole one I was just describing there about switching off and taking time out of the business, this year, that was kind of like one of my goals of being, and we'll talk about this at the end of the year, maybe around like what my goals were for the year and stuff like that, because I know I normally do an episode on that, but around like, for me, that was taking time out of the business and what I've just described, so I won't repeat it again. That was like my big thing. And, you know, it's now July, and this year I've done that on a scale of nothing else before, in terms of how much spaciousness I've had, how much freedom I've had, how much like no stress I've had, how much time I've been able to completely detach from work and detach from me as the business. Because I know a lot of you are in the same position where, you know, you chose to name the business after yourself, or you choose to, you are the business, you're a personal brand, you might be someone who, you are the one that kind of spearheads it. That can be really difficult for people. And this year that's been a real intentionality for me. And, you know, I'm happy to say that we're in July, and every single week of this year, I have taken time off and been at such utter peace, like I talked about earlier. And that is so freeing. It's so exciting. And that makes me feel really successful, right? Like that for me is everything I could want. Because for me, I don't want to get to a point where I don't work. Like for me, retirement's not something that I'm like a big thing. I don't want to retire by the time I'm 40. That's not a goal for me, because I love my work and I think I'll always work to some degree. So for me, it's about, well, what would I do otherwise? And for me, like, this is the life I live now. You know, I live in a way that is so in alignment to myself and my values, and also helps people and makes so much impact in the world, which is beautiful and amazing. And we do that across various different, you know, avenues and different sort of projects. But I get that time and space to be me. And I get that 3 days a week, right? So just for context for you, like, I work Monday to Thursday. Friday I have off, Saturday I have off, Sunday I have off. I have 3 days off a week where I totally switch off. This is not just me, like and then why, this is why I'm saying it's a journey, right? Because over the years, this has taken me time to get to. Over the years, I've had a month off when I've had to, completely switched off. I've had weeks off, and I've documented this through the podcast over the year, so we've been doing it. You know, I've had various bits of time where I've taken time off. I have a holiday, you know, at Christmas I take my break and I take 3 weeks off at Christmas, or 3.5 weeks, depending on the year, and I totally switch off. And that has been the case for years. But what has always been a bit more tricky was this every week being able to completely switch off and not think about work at all. Not message the team, not do this, not do anything. And this year I've done that. I've done that every single week, and I have no issue with it. And by the time I finish on a Thursday, I'm like, I'm done, I'm out. And on a Monday I get back and I do it. And those 4 days I hammer through. Now, do I work hard for 4 days? Yeah, boy, do I. I am like not really available for much else. I'm like head down, go, 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 go. Because I choose that. You know, if I didn't want that, I wouldn't have to. I could design the business to not. But I like that. That's what I want to do. I love work and it feeds my soul. But having those 3 days to be all the other roles I need to be in my life, and this year I've had to, you know, I've got some other labels and other roles that I've kind of taken on and I have now because of various circumstances, which has meant that I've needed more space in my life than ever before. I've needed more time. I've needed more time for me. I was ill at the back end of last year when I took my 3 weeks off for Christmas, and I'm still I never got better, really. I did, but I haven't fully recovered. I think I had COVID, to be honest, but I don't know. It's one of those times, isn't it, where no one knows anything anymore. But, my health this year it's been tricky at times. And I was saying this year, we're only 7 months in, so sounds like we're doing an end of year review. We're not, but I'm giving you context because I just hope that this helps someone and maybe helps you to just feel a bit more human, because I know often when we talk about success and you listen to podcasts, it's all about like numbers and money and growing this and team size and things. And I just want to talk what it means to me. So yeah, this year for me has been huge in terms of, I felt massively successful because I've been able to take 3 days a week off and not think about work at all. Sometimes I might want to, but that's a choice sort of thing. But to be honest, it doesn't really happen because I haven't at the time. I've been needed elsewhere in life. Inevitably, by the end of the year, that will shift slightly because as we get to Q4, I then do work sort of some Fridays, not every Friday, but there's a couple of times where I will work because I'll be traveling or I'll have a speaking thing, or there's things happen towards the end of the year. But on the whole, like so far this year, I've had so much time off, which has been beautiful, and that's a really huge success metric to me. And this has definitely evolved this year, and it's become clearer to me, which is really beautiful. When I say change, it's not that they have changed the concepts of change. It's more so just about how does it present myself? How do I be able to measure it? How can I acknowledge it? And I've been really present around that, which has been lovely. And so, yeah, in terms of what success means to me, I would say time and freedom is just huge and massive. Space and spaciousness is really important to me. So being able to, just feel like that time isn't chasing my tail. And I do like that during the work week, right? So like during the week, don't get me wrong, when I'm Monday, Thursday, when I'm working, I'm time blocked, I'm back to back, like I've got everything going. When I say back to back, I don't have meetings back to back, but I have things that I'm doing back to back. So I really enjoy the fast pacedness, but I also need to slow down in the weekend, and I need to just take time for me, and that's really important. The no stress thing is really key for me because I have an illness that when I'm stressed, it gets even worse, which doesn't help. And so I can't be in a high stress environment. Some people would laugh at me because they'd laugh at my life and my business and say, you are in one of the most high stress environments, which I'm not at all. But I suppose it's all relative, right? And it's what you're used to. But in terms of me, there's certain types of stresses and stress that I just cannot bargain with in work. No amount of money is going to make it worth it for me, is essentially what I'm saying. So there's certain things that I just don't get involved with, don't pursue, because it's not going to work. It's a jarring, conflicting piece against what my own success metric is and what maybe a business ego kind of desire might be. And those two have to kind of meet in the middle. And that's where I kind of have to just grapple with things and kind of be like, okay, well, which are we wanting here? The other success metric, which I think is possibly one of the biggest and is a one that's external to myself and is for others, maybe, but not that I'm saying that the success metric is for others, but I just mean the impact is others, is impact. So the impact that I leave on the world, and for women, right? Because all of my work that I do is aimed at women. And if men enjoy it, and if you're listening, hello, welcome, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being here. But I work with women, and women are part of the mission at Made James. They're why I do what I do. Like, I'm so, oh God, it makes me cry. It's such a passion for me. The impact is for me a lot, it is everything. And how we measure impact is tricky at times. There's many different ways that we try and measure it, and that I look at it and I understand if we are doing that or not. But for me, impact's really important about, what is that? Because it's how I spend my time, and it means like it's actually doing something in the world. It goes beyond me, because I don't particularly like it being about me. The business and the brand is about me, but that's just because it's a vehicle and it's a facilitation tool for others to connect with and to then see impact in their own lives. And so things like this podcast is a huge, massive, success metric for me to feel really happy with, that, the message and the education that I share is is really meaningful and is working together. So it's not just about the people who work with me and the clients we have, although that is a huge part of the impact that we create. There's other things that really add to me feeling successful in terms of the impact we make, and one of them is this podcast. And when someone comes up to me and says, I listened to the podcast and it is amazing, or I've listened, it's part of my CPD, like my continuous professional development, like that you use it as a tool, I get a real lot of happiness from that. And maybe not something I really share, but that really matters to me because it means that my work is helping people, and that's important. And I've talked before about why we have this podcast and why I believe in it so strongly. And part of that is because I want to make it free. I love that it's accessible. It's something that we create, that I ask clients and I suggest to clients that they use through our time to working together and beyond it as a kind of companion with them, because I believe that the content we share in it is of a level and of a quality that is, I'm happy to share with people. And I'm like, you need to listen to this. It's really bloody amazing. And it complements our work really well. And it was like, instead of just having a private clients only podcast, it was like, no, we're going to have it and let everyone have it and let everyone have it for free. And I love that because, someone had said to me once, I feel like I am your client, and they have a routine, they have a ritual around listening. And I know there's a few of you who listen, so please come and tell me if it's you. But some of you have said, like, I have a ritual on a Wednesday and I listen to the podcast, and they have this whole thing and they have a candlelit and they get this and they get their notebook out and they spend that time. And for me, that's huge, right? That makes it worth it, because it takes time to do this, and it takes, time out of my diary and all the rest of it. But that for me is really important, because not everyone can afford to work with me, not everyone wants to work with me, and that's fine. But making sure I have a really meaningful, long-term way of people to take in my work and use it and apply it to their life is the best thing. And if anyone ever says, like, oh, I listened to this episode and I actually did something and now I went and made the sale, or I've done this, I've done that, like, that to me is like a real lovely thing to hear and to feel into. So that is kind of my thought process, what success looks like to me in my business. And I'm happy for it to evolve and change as time goes on. And I'm happy for it to kind of move and see where it goes, because it inevitably fluctuates, and that's okay, right? This is a living and breathing thing. It's a living and breathing set of metrics. It needs to constantly, like, be tended to, and kind of being like, oh, what does it mean today? And what does it mean for you in 2 months' time? And I think today I'd really love, in the rest of this episode, I'm going to talk about, what do you want to create as your success metrics? What are they? Because if you have these, it's a real helpful tool for a compass almost in your business, a moral compass, and also a decision-making tool. Because, there's a lot of things that come up where I have an opportunity that will come up, and I want to do it, but then I can't because of X, Y, and Z reason, and it conflicts with the success metric, right? And there's mainly that is because of my chronic illness and less so to do with the success metric, but it kind of all impacts each other, because obviously the reason that some of my success metrics are what they are is because of my chronic illness. The other thing actually I should talk to you about, maybe that would be interesting on the impact piece, is if that's important to you as well, is I look at it also from a team perspective. So we have a lovely small team at May James who are all freelance, and some of those are amazing businesswomen who run their own businesses and have all sorts of things going on. And then there's others who are freelance and they're only freelance with me, or they only have like 1 or 2 clients and things, and they're earlier on in their career. And that's a really lovely thing. I really love that. I really love being able to sort of watch people grow, and to not so much mentor them, but just to kind of see there and be there as a structural thing. And as people have come and go in the team over the years, I've supported people with various things and job moves and starting their own businesses, for example, or like there's just been beautiful things and conversations and helping people navigate life things, and that to me is really meaningful. I really love that, and I take it quite seriously, in the sense of, I learned early on how impactful very short words, conversations, reflections, check-ins with people can be. They don't have to be long. It can be a sentence, it can be a message, it can be give someone 10 minutes of your time. But I really have seen what that can do for people and really helping people to progress in their lives, whether that's personal and professionally, you can have a lot of impact with that if you have a team, regardless of whether they're employed or whether they're freelance. And that has been really beautiful to see, you know, the small part that I can play, in some cases more bigger, you know, for people to grow. And it's also worth noting, I suppose, as well, in terms of team, many of you know that my sister works for me, and she works with me across both of my businesses. And she started doing so when she was very young, and she's now 16, nearly 17. And that is a huge success metric for me. You know, I remember, God, years and years ago when I could pay her, was mad, you know, paying her out of the business. And she started working not in May James, in the other business that I have. You know, that was years and years ago when I still remember now when I was like, yeah, come and work and do that. And that was immensely exciting, and that progressed, and she did more, and then she came to May James and does stuff there, and so now gets sort of two pays a month, like two separate, you know, payments, and she sends her invoice every month. So every month it makes me stop and think and smile, because, you know, she learns so many skills. She's such an incredible asset to the business, but she gets a lot out of it, and she has, over the years as she's grown up from both businesses, learned a huge, you know, a big skill set. And I really believe in the impact of that. And that, for me, like those kind of small things that some people will look at and just discard and laugh at, for me are the most meaningful. For me are the ones where at the end of the year, and I do this every year, at the end of the year, once I've got my 3 weeks off, I get on the couch, I drink a lot of champagne, I have a lot of time, I just sort of lie there in a half-day state for a while on an evening, and I do a lot of reflecting. And I might even read a book, because I don't read many books during the year, but at Christmas I kind of read. And these things that I'm explaining to you today are what really, for me, come up and feel that sense of success, and really I enjoy it, and I think, God, yeah, like we've had a good year, or it's been really meaningful, or we're doing really good work. And that, to me, is so immensely important. It means the world to me. And that's okay. I want this episode for you to really feel like it's okay, whatever your definition is. You might listen to me talking today and think, I don't get anything she's saying. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. It seems really boring. It seems really like, oh, whatever, okay. Like, that's fine. That's great. Like, hopefully this episode is either going to be like, you say, oh, I think I resonate with her, or no, I really don't, and my success metrics are something completely different. And I want you to create something different. Don't take mine and be like, these are mine, because they're not. Like, sit with it and sit with the process of working out, what does it actually mean for you. In terms of you creating yours, let's just move on to that, because I could rattle on about me all the time, but I'm never convinced how much you're that bothered. I know some of you really are, so that's why I have given you mine instead of just walking you through a framework. But I've got a few thoughts for you to think about in terms of creating your own. So hopefully by now you've kind of wrote some things down. Things might have popped up as you've been listening to this episode, and I've got a few things for you to think about. So you need to understand with this that you have lots of time. Do not panic. I think with success metrics, people get really like, oh, it's all got to happen really quickly. Or they deny themselves some success metrics because they haven't, like they can't, they're like, well, it won't happen in a month or a year or 5 years, so it can't be my success metric. Don't think about it like that. Think about this long term, and think about it as like your lifetime, your career. What would be a success metric to you? Also, allow for the fact that this is going to change. So things will evolve, things will change. What you value now might not value, or then, or you might have wrote something flippantly, but then actually that becomes the main thing, and that's totally okay. But just get out on paper everything that you can think of around, how would I feel successful? What does success look like to me? When would I know that I'm successful? Am I already successful? Why do I not feel successful? Like, these are the questions I want you to really sit down and ask yourself and see what comes up, because I think this is a really good exercise. I know it's a really good exercise instead of I think. Bullshit. Fuck that. I know that this is such a powerful exercise that changes people's lives. This exercise alone can like completely change people's lives. It completely changes how they think. It's like, fuck, like, why haven't I been thinking about this? And then they're like, yes, okay, right, this is what I need to do. And things become easier. Clarity just becomes flowing in because they're like, wowza, this makes total sense, May. So really just dive into this. Think about, what do you value? What do you value in life? What do you value in business? What do you value in your life specifically? Just have a think. What do you value? I then want you to think about, what does happiness mean to you? What does it mean to you? Like, what actually is it? Because for some people, it's like a certain car, or it's, buying a second house, or there's something really tangible there, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you've got that, and I definitely have things on like a goal board, that I want in the future. Like, I definitely have material items. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Write down, what does happiness mean to you? What does happiness look like? And then I want you to think about, what are your then success metrics? So what are they? From those things that you've listed out, and you might want to pause this episode whilst you do it and then start it again. What are your success metrics? Because I think we need to get clear on that. Yeah, it's really important that you understand, like, how are you measuring your success? What does that mean? And then, if you already have success metrics, or you've already got a good idea, or actually you've now created them, I want you to think about, what have you stopped valuing over time? What did you used to value that you don't anymore? Or what would have been on that list but isn't now? What did you used to measure? Was there something in your business that you used to measure all the time because that meant something to you? E.g., for example, some people I know, this is followers. Some people are like, success metric for me is that if I got 100,000 followers, or 1,000,000 followers, or 50,000 followers, or 10,000 followers, that would feel like a real success moment for me. And then some people are like, I've stopped measuring it. I'm not bothered anymore. Some people are like, I don't care, not interested. And so I want you to think about, what have you stopped valuing? What have you stopped measuring? Is there a reason why? Because often we forget about the stuff that we've stopped doing because we're always thinking about the stuff we are doing. So think about, what is it that you've stopped valuing or measuring, and why? Why? We need to know why. Then, once you've got your success metrics, in order for this to be somewhat, and I hate using the word life-changing, but, I'm being honest, some people have done this exercise and it has completely changed things for them. So let's just go with the fact that, this has the potential to really change and shift things, should you wish to. I want you to then think about your business as a whole and the functions in your business, and think about, where is there completely things out of alignment? Where actually you're doing one thing, but what you're saying your success metric is another, and you're like, this is just so jarring. Start listing those out. List out where that doesn't work. Where is this not balanced? Where is it like, whoa, this doesn't make sense? That's where you need to start thinking about, what is in my business right now? How is it structured? How is it designed? How does it operate that is not making sense with what my success metrics are? And then you'll probably not be surprised that your next step following that is to go and start changing and tweaking and moving things that need to be changed. So where isn't your business set up to support you in achieving your own success metrics? And get a list of them going and start looking at, do I need to tweak them? Do I need to change them? Do I need to overhaul them? Do I need to remove them? Out of those, what sticks for you? And work out, okay, well, I need to change that, or I should move this. And there's your answers. Like, your answers will be pretty kind of solid in there. Again, I'm not saying make loads of rash decisions. I'm not saying like rip your business apart, because you might not need to. But just sit and have a think about, like, okay, well, does this need to change, or can it be tweaked, or why isn't that working, or how do we do things differently? And that is your kind of like game plan. That's your game plan for this, about creating your own success metrics. I want you to do it. Please come and tell me when you've done them. Let me know if something random came up and you're like, oh my God, this is a success metric, and it's so I can like go and buy a tractor, or there's some like wild thing that you're like, this is my success metric. Like, come and tell me. I'd love to know. I think it's really fun. I love hearing people's success metrics because I love how different and nuanced they are. It's really, really exciting. And I think it's also, I just want this to be a permission slip that you can get comfortable with not chasing the numbers. If you're someone and you've sat through this episode and you thought, you know what, I felt like I've had to, in order for me to be a proper business owner, or to be a real success, or in order for my expertise to be really solidified, I've got to earn X amount in their revenue. I've got to get the business to X amount point. I just want you to give you a permission slip to be like, you don't. And you really don't have to chase the numbers if you don't want to. And if some of you are struggling with that in your head because you've got a sort of rationale and you've got quite a process-driven head, I just want to remind you of something here. It's just an observation I had this week. People can make lots of money. People can create lots of revenue from various different ways. Some people will find it easy, some people will find that hard, some people will have certain circumstances that make that a lot easier for them than others. That making revenue in itself does not make someone a good business owner or not so good business owner. You can see this as evidence and proof if you need to find sort of visual things to prove yourself this. Go and listen to podcasts. Go and listen to people who interview other business owners, right? People who interview other business owners who've done like really big things. I'm talking about the kind of like big glossy podcasts of the world, right? You can go and watch them. And these people, and this is not to bash people, okay? These people are beautiful people. They've done amazing things. That's great. However, in terms of business acumen and running a business and being successful, whatever that means, obviously was what we've just been discussing today, you can really see that people can have fast growth, they can make loads of money, they can make the revenue, they can run a team of 50, 100, 200,000, however many you want to talk about it, and their business acumen be very weak. Or they really don't actually understand what the hell they've actually built, or they don't really get sort of how they've got there, or they've gotten there but by various other means that is not discussed. I'm trying to word this without being rude because I don't want it to be. All I'm saying is go and observe people. When you observe people, you will realize that money and revenue and turnover and profit and having those as kind of like success metrics and how you put other people on a pedestal potentially is very weak and it's very damaging and it's very sort of, well, it's not very reliable. It's not very valid either, right? And I'm not saying this is the case for everyone. Obviously, like, you know, some people have done mega things and it's because they're absolutely bloody amazing at business. But just be gentle with yourself and remind yourself that just because someone's got a title of like, I've made this, I've done this happened, I did this 6 years ago, or whatever, like, doesn't mean that they're any better than you. Doesn't mean that they're more successful than you. Doesn't mean that they know more than you. Because a lot of business owners I work with are more sort of apt in business or more have a stronger business acumen, let's say, than and make a lot less money than some of the other people who you know, earn X amount of money and may be perceived to be a certain way. I hope I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to make that too boring and dull. Sorry, I don't know. I feel like that was maybe not a great thing to end on. But I think some of you will know what I mean. Like some of you, when I say don't get comfortable with not chasing numbers, so you're gonna be like, yeah, but I can't. Like the numbers are the numbers, and I just want to reiterate to you, why do you want the numbers? What specifically about the number is gonna make you feel more successful? And some people are actually like, because I just want to, and that is 100% okay. And if you've got that feeling, bloody go for it. And I can help you with it, right? You know, I help people who are like, man, I want to make like 10 million and it's going to happen. And I want to do 1 million, or, you know, I've got clients this year who were like pushing for a money goal. And I'm kind of more invested than they are to some degree in terms of the actual figure. Like, and it's like, I totally am here for that. But I'm also here for the people if you're like, do you know what, actually, I don't think the money thing is for me, and actually it's something else, and that's 100% okay. Anyway, I will speak to you very soon. Thank you, and sorry for the kind of unhinged elements of this where we just completely went off track. I hope you take care, have a very well. I hope you're very, very well. And I will speak to you in the next episode. Tune in, go and listen to another. We've got so many amazing episodes now in the catalogue. And also, if you are a listener rather than a viewer, many people don't actually know that the podcast now gets uploaded every Wednesday onto YouTube. So we have a YouTube channel, it's May James, and if you type in like May James Business, it will come up on YouTube, and you can type in the Honest Business Podcast and it will also come up, and you can watch these episodes. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you necessarily do, because to be honest, it's just me sat recording an episode. There's nothing really fun to watch or look at, and often it's me blowing my nose or itching my nose like I'm doing now. So just a thought process that they are there if you wish to consume them via video and you find that easier, or you like to just use YouTube. They are there if you'd like to go and check them out. Take care. I will see you next week. Have a great one. Bye.